Welcome. This is the first episode where we are going to cover every Fortnite update. Some might even call us the most famous podcast that does it. You could argue otherwise. We hope you caught at least one victory royale this past week. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, is my co-host, Birch, the Great.
Hey, everyone.
Good to have you with me, Birch. We have been playing Fortnite for at least one whole season. We started back in Season 4, Chapter... Well, I should have done the research on that one. Silly me. What is it? Do you know? Do you know what the chapter name is that we're in?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, right.
I think we're in 5.3 right now, so I guess it would have been 5.2?
I don't know. Let's move on. The update is 31.20 at the moment, which is the Isle of Doom, and more specifically, the Day of Doom. Birch and I started back in the last update where it was a sort of unofficial Mad Max and Fallout collaboration where most of the island was covered in desert, and there was a couple of bad enemies that were trying to do some stuff. One of them was Megalodon, one of them was the Ringmaster Scar, and the other one was the Mechanist. Don't believe they had a name, but I didn't look too hard into the story. One of these episodes we will touch on the whole of Fortnite story because it is quite interesting, and I used to care about it back when I played years ago. But that's when Birch and I started playing, is this last season. It was heavily focused around cars and all of this sort of stuff. Right near the end of the season, Dr. Doom showed up on the island, and he was planning some things. He stopped Megalodon in his tracks and unleashed the Pandora's Box, which changed the island with the new season. There's 3 new big locations. There's Doomstad, Doom's Castle, and the Raft. With 3 new bosses and a bunch of new things, including a whole new arsenal of weapons. So, not all of the weapons that I had finally gotten used to for the last season are just kind of gone now, and I have to just get used to the new weapons. And honestly, I don't know how much I like them, don't know how much I enjoy them. Knew the fists for sure were going to go away, which were the melee weapon at the time. I knew for sure they were going to go away. I knew a lot of the stuff was just going to go away, but I didn't know it was going to be a complete wipe. But I guess that's to be expected going forward. Whenever a new season comes out, hopefully just get ready to get used to all new things. This season brought with it, with Doom obviously, a bunch of Marvel-themed heroes and Marvel-themed stuff. The biggest change and the biggest update, or the biggest, I guess, thing that initially came in the first couple weeks of the season were War Machine's gear. So you would have the little auto turret, you would have a jetpack, and the gauntlets, which would allow you to just fire like miniguns from your hands and also rockets from the back. All of them were pretty cool because they would combine from or they still do, but from the backpack of your jetpack, and it's kind of like a dynamic back piece, which is really, really intriguing to me. Which of those 3 would you say is your favorite, Birch?
Gosh. The least favorite would probably be the auto turret, just because it's such a passive. I'm really torn because I really like the War Machine gauntlets, because if you get to drop on someone, you just rain hell on them. You almost kill them instantly as long as something doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think the rockets do 25 damage a hit to people's shield. Now, we're going to preface at the very beginning of this show, before we get too late into it, Birch and I primarily play no build, unless there is a mode that requires you to play builds. Just because him and I are getting older by the day and don't have the reaction time we once used to. And honestly, it's hard enough to aim and shoot in this game, and it's a skill issue, I'll admit. You know, but I'm not ready to get killed by 12-year-olds who can build a hotel and a entire train station with moving trains before I can change my guns. That's a bit of a stretch, but sometimes it feels that way. They just keep building, unless you have some of the new gear that can blow up structures instantly. It's a lot of a stress, in my opinion. One of the newer weapons as well is Captain America's shield, which is really good. it kind of replaced Magneto's powers in the last season, where you could kind of hold up a shield and block some bullets for a while, which is really good because, as we mentioned, there's a jetpack, so people are flying around and doing all sorts of things to you, and it's nice to be able to, for at least a couple of seconds, to block shots as you're backing up, or you can stand in front of a teammate as they shoot over you. There's a lot to the Captain America shield, and the best part is you can throw it, and it does like 50 damage, and it bounces between players, like up to 6 times or something like that. It can get really good, especially if enemies are grouped together.
Yeah, the other good thing about the shield is, although car combat is more or less gone in this season, it can still, if you stand and you got your shield up, you actually stop all momentum if someone's trying to run you over with a vehicle.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that, actually. If you throw the shield, does it also stop the car, or does it just do damage?
I think it just does damage, but as long as you're standing there and blocking, you could have a giant SUV coming at you and it would just stop dead in its tracks and bounce off you.
Something I'm disappointed, like, I don't mind the car combat going on, because it was, like, as the season progressed, they kept nerfing the cars and adding more anti-car stuff, but people who good with the cars, they could still win with just the car. So, I understand them removing all of the car mods, but the thing I didn't appreciate is they moved a lot of the car spawns. So, like, cars aren't as common, and they're not always in the same spot, it seems. So, I have to relearn all of the places in the island that have the cars, which, isn't a big deal, but I haven't played enough this season, because right as this season started was DabbleCon, which is where I got this shirt. It's a Who Are These Podcasts live event, and the next one's going to be coming up in Detroit, October 25th. Unfortunately, it's sold out. If you didn't get your ticket, too bad. And if it's not being live streamed, so wait till the episode comes out.
It's a good thing we got our tickets.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm excited to meet you in person and make the journey together. We only have like a couple more steps to plan, and then, we're just waiting until the day comes.
Should be fun.
So I missed the beginning of the season a little bit because I was mostly distracted with unpacking and, coming back from my show, making new connections. Who Are These Podcasts? And Uncle Rico's show opened up some avenues to ask new guests onto my show, What Is This Game? But now, since I've been playing so much with Birch, we figured we should start our own show where we at least just talk about Fortnite. We might be able to talk about other things that we've been doing in the Fortnite that we've been, off, because I assume we could do this bi-weekly, or at least whenever big Fortnite updates come out. We can't commit to every other week, but at least when something big comes out, we can be like, all right, we're going to cover that, for at least an hour or something like that.
Yeah, that's what's fun about Fortnite, and something that, since you introduced the game to me last month, is it changes very often. It does not get stagnant very quick. Is one thing I'll say good about Epic Games is they don't let things just sort of lie there. It feels like, gosh, funny enough, every 2 weeks or so, almost like a fortnight, they have some sort of update or new skins or something going on in the game, new event that keeps everything kind of rolling.
Right, the update came out today, and it is called Day of Doom, which introduces a new, let me read what the wiki is saying, according to the Fortnite website. In Day of Doom, up to 32 players will join the ultimate battle between good and evil. Players are divided into 2 teams, Doom's henchmen and allies of the Avengers, or Avengers for short. Both teams have health and shields that regenerate outside of combat, both are immune to fall damage, and have infinite ammo for all weapons. This mode is really cool because, as it mentioned, it's only 32 players, so it's a typical, 16v16, or most games I've seen, it's 14 versus 13, or 14-14, or 15-14. It seems like one player leaves at the beginning of the game, or it mismatches. The point of the game is pretty cool. As Doom's henchman, your goal is to collect 6 gems that drop on the map. Yep. And they don't just spawn, or they're not just in a chest or whatever. After a certain amount of time, they will drop from the sky as a sort of comet. So they don't have an exact drop location. It seems like it could have a sort of area. For example, if one's going to drop in Restored Reels, kind of it's going to drop in one of like 5 locations in Restored Reels based on, just probability, because the map is only so big and the circle in the game is already limited based on the very first drop. So they're always going to drop within the circle of play. They're not going to drop outside of the map or off the ocean or anything like that, which is nice. It kind of has a more streamlined field of play because you only have 32 players. Your goal is to grab the 6 gems, and once you grab the 6 gems, the Avengers team no longer can respawn. And then all you have to do is just eliminate their remaining players, and you win. The problem is, there is a lot in between that objective. It sounds simple on paper. The Avengers, however, if you're on their team, you start with one of 4 loadouts. You are either Captain America, you are Shuri, the Black Panther, you are War Machine, or Iron Man. Those are the 4 loadouts, and each of them have their strengths and weaknesses, I would say. Do you want to talk about any of them, Birch?
Yes. Especially the War Machine and the Iron Man are similar, just because, they are both guys flying around in suits of armor.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just different enough. I don't know which one is necessarily better than the other one. It's the fact that what I like about both of them is you come preloaded with a jetpack and long range, like the repulsors and the War Machine gauntlets. The fact that you can just fly over everyone and just rain down on them really makes it, as a henchman, difficult to stay alive sometimes. The Captain America loadout is pretty good because it's got 3 of my favorite weapons this season so far: the shield, the rifle, and the dual SMGs.
Does he have the Striker Burst rifle?
Right.
Gotcha. I just want to make sure. I didn't know which rifle he has, because normally when I'm Captain America, I'm only using the shield because it's so powerful in that mode. Because henchmen, we'll get to them in a minute, are pretty weak as long as the player isn't very good at the henchman. The last one is Shuri, and she has, in this game mode, probably the worst loadout. You have the Black Panther claws, which if you catch somebody off guard, is pretty good because you hit them like 4 times and they're dead, because it does about 50 damage a swing. Problem is, if the henchman has a shotgun and they're decent with it, they can kind of just blam blam and you're gone. So you have to be really good with the claws, or catch them out, or be working in tandem with somebody. The thing that she's probably decent as is distraction, because she's so quick that if you're distracting slower players, that's really the only way you're going to have an advantage. Something I've noticed, or not confirmed or denied yet, but I've noticed, it seems like the mode is only players, because it's a brand new mode. It's like a instant queue time, and there's only 32 players. So on the mini-map on the top right of the screen, you can see how many players there are on each team with a little there's a ratio. It's like 14 green or 14 red and 13 blue. And you can see how many players are in the game. And I haven't done a head count because it's obviously too chaotic, but I'm pretty sure, and I haven't seen any players that are acting like bots. I've seen idiot players that are just playing around and mining and shooting things around on the raft or whatever, but they're named players in my squad. So unless this is like a new feature and they're putting bots on my team, I'm pretty sure this mode is bot-free, which is nice. As I mentioned, Shuri has the worst loadout, except for her Rift, honestly. The Rift Orb is really good, because your goal is to prevent the henchman from getting the gems. As the Avengers, you have to stop the henchman from getting the gems, because the first one will summon Doom, and then the second one will give them better gear, and the third one will give them even better gear, so they'll start getting more and more powerful. And as they get closer to getting number 6, you're going to start becoming mortal, because until they grab all 6, the Avengers have unlimited respawns. The henchman team, we'll cover now, only has a maximum of 80 if you have all 32 players in the game.
Yep.
And they don't have, excuse me, they don't have like any preface to that. They have 80 lives. It doesn't matter how fast they die, what they die to, anything like that. They have 80 respawns before the henchman team is depleted. That is the only way the Avengers can win, is by whittling down 80 kills. Now, it is kind of easy if the henchmen aren't good, and if the Avengers team like work together and use their powers in coordination, and you have a good RNG and you just have a bunch of war machines flying around shooting missiles everywhere. But you know, we're not going to bring up RNG. The henchmen, however, do have good loadouts. The guns this season are fantastic. I was worried about having to get used to new guns, but I already have several guns I really like. The Striker Burst Rifle is a Styrog. It just shoots a 3-round burst. It's pretty stable. It has, it's a bullpup rifle, so it inherently has low recoil. Excuse me, I gotta drink some water. Tell them about the other guns the henchmen have.
Okay. You've got that. You also, when you start off as a henchman, you've got a infinite on a cooldown shockwave grenades to help you for mobility. You also start off with Doom's energy gauntlets, which they have a bit of an arc to them, but they hit for a solid, gosh, at least 50 per hit if you land on them. And they also have a second attack that's sort of a charge up.
And it does 90. Yeah, it's really, 90. Really good. It does have a bit of a delay, but the thing about it is good is it kind of like makes you stop falling and kind of hover for a second to charge up the blast. If you use that in tandem with your infinite shockwaves, you can blow yourself like straight up, and then you can use the height to stop yourself, aim a second at a group of Avengers, and do a bunch of damage. You do regenerate health and shield over time, but if you're in combat, there's a big delay between how fast you regenerate that stuff. It's not like Wolverine where you're constantly healing, or Deadpool where you just come back to life or anything like that. Yet. Yep. That's not that, or maybe that happened before in Fortnite. I don't know. We've only been playing for 2 seasons.
Yep. And the other weapons that as you obtain more of these gems, you get a Monarch pistol, which is fantastic. And I think
it's my favorite gun this season. I think it's my favorite gun this whole season. The scope also gets better. At the beginning of the game, it seems like you have a red dot, and then you get a thermal, or maybe that was a glitch that I had. But when you get the Monarch pistol with a thermal scope, you're just waiting till you see war machines, and you just dink them a couple of times, because it does like 70 damage or over 100 something if you hit them in the head.
I think it's 130 for a headshot.
The Monarch is disgusting. It's such a good pistol. It's probably my favorite gun this season, honestly.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. If you get someone good with it, you can take people out in 2 to 3 hits. It doesn't take a lot.
The last gun that they have is the Sovereign Shotgun, which is... I've played a couple of Fortnite seasons. I played back in Chapter 3, 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons. I can't exactly remember. The pandemic was blurry. And I've played 2 seasons with Birch, which are my only real memory of Fortnite. So out of all the shotguns that I've played with and in custom game modes, I think I like the Sovereign the best. It has such a tight spread, it has such a good fire rate, and it has a big magazine. It's a lever action shotgun, and it just pumps so much damage out. And anytime I get killed by it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I get it.
I think it's got 7 shots before he got to reload it. And
it replaced last season's combat shotgun.
Right. And it's faster than the pump action. So it's not as quick as the Gatekeeper, but it has more than double the size of the magazine. And it's a lot faster than the pump action. It's really good.
Yeah, even if you mod the Gatekeeper, you can only put 5 rounds in it, which is enough to delete people, unless you suck with the shotguns, which I usually do. I'm getting used to the Sovereign, and I'm trying to get good at hip firing it so I don't have to move so slow. But once I do that, this mode is really good because you essentially have 80 lives to quickly just kind of battle it out repeatedly, and it's not as chaotic as Team Rumble, where you just drop in and you get loot, and then you have that loot the whole game, and then if you get good loot and then people have good loot, it's just a fight of death. Like last season, right at the end, when everybody had Magneto hands, and everybody was just like, oh, killed 8 people, oh, killed 4 people, oh, killed 3 people, okay, cool, no problem. I just group killing people because that thing did like 80 damage or whatever, just in one hit, and stop people dead at that. Oof, man.
Well, one thing to add too is when you're on the Avengers side, the good guys side, we'll call it. Every time you have infinite respawns, but every time you respawn, you start off with a different loadout. So it's always kind of a random. You could have a loadout you really prefer, like War Machines or Iron Man's, for instance, and then because they both have jetpacks, they both have rockets, long range, really big attacks, and then the loadouts could end up where you really need something like that to cover the field, but you're stuck as Captain America's loadout or Shuri's, which they both do have some ground mobility. Don't get me wrong. It's just not the same for me. I'm sure anyone who's watching this will probably call me an idiot and how great they are with it. I prefer War Machine or Iron Man.
We were playing quite a bit this morning before we recorded today, and outside of the War of Doom, Day of Doom, outside of the Day of Doom event, because these items have been added into Zero Build, we got the chance to use the jetpack and the claws together, which I think is really good because you can use the jetpack's hover to reset the dash, or the pounce, as it's called, of the Shuri's claws, which is nice because you can like use it to repeatedly get up. It's to me, it replaces the mobility gap that last season had with its Nitro Fist and its ability to just be able to dash in one direction at will multiple times. So if you have the jetpack and the claws are disgusting. They're really good because you can just use the claws to get around, to get close to somebody, and shotgun them before they can turn around. In the Day of Doom event, you can't drop or swap or switch weapons. You can't pick up things. So if you have Shuri's claws, your only other mobility option is your Portal Rift, which is great because you can Portal Rift right on top of one of the gems, and it stops idiots unless they position themselves carefully. It stops most idiots from being able to touch the gem because they just sprint to it and just rift. It's really, really good, honestly. And you really want to stop them from getting the first gem as long as you can, because the first gem that the henchmen get, it summons Dr. Doom, and Dr. Doom's loadout is honestly pretty good. It seems like a huge skill ceiling but on which Doom is playing, because some Dooms I've seen fly around for like 5 minutes just deleting hordes of Avengers and backing up and crushing structures so we can capture gems and make him more powerful. Well, us more powerful, but our team. The Doom has, let's say, your right trigger is just your simple just shoot Doom blast, but like really quickly. He just kind of like shoots them almost at semi-automatic speed. It's quite nice, honestly. He does have a bit of like a heat gauge, so you have to watch how many of these things you're shooting. The second trigger is your like. Honestly, it's just like a Kamehameha wave. You just charge up and you shoot like a Doom laser, and it does like 25 damage a tick, but it's like the ticks are really quick, so it can melt somebody if they're standing in the beam. He does kind of turn slowly, so that's the balancing of it. Even on keyboard and mouse, I have like 2600 DPI that I play with, and I still can't turn super quick. I can turn fast, but I'm limited to how fast Doom can physically turn. The last ability is just like he shoots a big giant like blast, like kind of like what the Doom henchmen do, but it's like a giant orb, and it explodes once and then collapses in on itself, and it looks like it does another explosion. I haven't been hit by it, so I can't tell. He also has like a jump move, and then he can use like a M. Bison dive falling kick to smash into things and do. I can't remember the damage number on it, but it does quite a bit of damage, honestly.
Right, I was going to add in that with those big blasts, one of the big strategies as Avengers
Mhm.
is the Day of the Doom is a build format, so people are constantly throwing walls up around trying to protect the gems. And when that Doctor Doom flies in, he just annihilates everything in his path. I just saw entire structures blow up. That and his health and his shields are both at 500, I believe. So he's
I
a lot
don't think
stronger
his
than just a
shields
henchman.
recharge though. I don't know. I haven't ever. I've been Doom a couple of times. I haven't ever been um had the chance to stop getting shot. When you're Doom, everyone, the Avengers wants to take you out because if you take out Doom, he's at least on like like a cooldown, like a respawn.
Yep.
Um, I think every gem will just immediately trigger a new Doom, but he does just come back on like a fixed cooldown unless your team is out of respawns.
Yep. And which we've both ended up on both sides of this, but we've seen some crazy scenarios where when the all the gems are collected and the respawns are turned off, there were some scenarios where we were the henchmen, but there were only 3 or 4 of us left versus the 13 Avengers, or the other, which we the henchmen ended up winning that game because Doom soloed almost that entire team by himself. And on the flip side, when we were the Avengers, we got them all, but we still had 45 or something henchmen to get through, and it just the sheer numbers didn't work out on our side.
Yeah, I think that game mode is really fun because it's fast paced. Even when you die, you respawn quick enough, and it's sort of like Team Rumble where you can get really, really, really close to the ground before it forces you to deploy your
Yep,
glider. So you're not like just falling for a couple minutes, except for I think the first deploy. All of your respawns, you just can fall like straight to the ground.
pretty much, yeah. No,
Um,
it's great mode. I think we played something like 10 games of it, and I had fun every time, so keep them coming.
I don't I don't have any big gripes for it. I think that the henchmen are just inherently stacked because Doom is really
Mm,
powerful and all they have to do is capture some gems. So if the Avengers are just walking around and playing with their powers and not really killing the henchmen, it's really easy for it to get out of hand. Because
yep,
typically it'll drop 2 gems at a time. So even if you have like 30 people guarding one gem and like just slaying hordes of henchmen, you can just have somebody else go grab one thing, get Doom, and just it it really is hectic as the Avengers to do it without having an idiot team. It seems like it's
yep,
just immediately stacked for the henchmen. um when you're the henchman, you can just capture 2 of the gems, and then you have for the rest of the gems to fall. So there's no point of even fighting in that phase. You can just go hide towards the edge of the circle, or hide in a structure, or just go get a sandwich or something like that, and just wait for the next gem to fall, and just not give the Avengers any free kills because they have no way to win except for to zero your health bars.
yep. The Avengers, I think some of the better strategies that we've kind of figured out. Now, don't get me wrong, this is day one, so is they've got to protect gems because if they protect a gem long enough, it actually disappears and goes back up into the sky to fall again.
Oh yeah,
So
that
it
took us a bunch of
delays.
games to notice, but yes, it does actually. Yeah, they do disappear
Yeah,
after a while. I thought it was a glitch because the first one we noticed was in water, and I thought that because nobody could grab it, the game was like, okay, we'll just reset this one. But the next one it happened was just on a beach with flat land, no water in
yep.
sight, and just disappeared. So
What
it
was
seems like it is.
amazing,
I think you have to defend it for like 3 or 4 minutes. I don't know how long it is.
yeah, it's definitely a while. It's no what some of the games that we actually were able to win and save the day as the Avengers, it was almost like you needed 2 people on the inside standing back to back on the gem and just putting up walls and repairing them and putting up new walls to try to protect those things. The other, like you were saying, is in between those moments where after a gem is captured and before the next one falls, as henchmen, just do your best to live. Do not worry about engaging the Avengers during that time. because that is their free reign basically to try to get kills on you. Although, to go back to what we were talking about the weapons, a couple of times as Captain America with that shield, you'd have 3 or 4 of those henchmen all together. You could just toss that shield in there and you just see it bounce and just take 3, 4 of them out at a time. That was awesome.
Yeah, that is what makes it really good. Is if the henchmen are close together, you can just bounce them together. So for tips for the Avengers side is if you're Iron Man, I would say focus on waiting for your repulsors to lock on, because that's what Iron Man's repulsors are, a two-handed gauntlet weapon that have a automatic tracking, which it doesn't just have homing bullets, but it does have 100% bullet magnetism if you hit them with the additional size crosshair. So it puts a big triangle on them, and if you aim inside that triangle and your crosshair is red, it's a guaranteed hit unless they have iframes for some reason, or they go immortal, or I don't know what shenanigans could happen, but they could theoretically not get hit by the bullet if you're locked onto them. But it does do, it's just a semi-automatic hand blaster that does 30 damage a hit. So if you're, let's see, what is the 200 divided by 30?
About 6 hits, yeah.
So it just takes 6 hits to zero somebody, especially if they're being hit by a war machine or something like that, is you just stand back, because it has a really long range, and just bink, 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 and just whittle them down. If you're war machine, make sure you're positioning, wait till your jetpack's full, wait till your missiles are full, fly over structures and just try to blow it up for other Avengers. Or you want to keep them together, depending on if it's your structure. Don't want to blow up your own structures, especially if you're protecting the gems. And then as Shuri, we mentioned, your big thing is just get your porter rifts. You have 2 of them. Go port it on a gem whenever the henchmen are around it, and really try to stop them. And use your claws to just distract people. Hopefully, you don't just feed them kills, but you have infinite lives at that point. So honestly, at this point, I think you should probably just die. I don't like either of her guns that much. If she had a shotgun, I feel like she'd be good, but I don't know. I feel like she's really lacking in the skill department there. Captain America is fantastic because he has good guns, and he has the shield, and every one of the characters we forgot to mention has different splashes.
Yes.
So the 2 Iron Mans, I believe, have chug splashes, so they'll heal your health and shields. And then Shuri has the chug splashes, so does Captain America. Or slap splashes, which is a returning feature from old seasons. I've never seen it before, but it replaces last season's nitro mechanic, which gives you infinite sprint, which is all I care about, honestly.
And
Nitro also
a long time too.
Nitro lasted quite a bit, but slap lasts a minute. I don't know, it's really long. You also get more slaps than you do chug splashes. Unfortunately, there's no way to recover them, like I said, so you can't wait for your teammates to die and go pick up their chug splashes. No, you have a limited amount of them.
Yeah, but they at least give you a little way to regain some health and shields in the game. No, we had a lot of fun playing that mode. It was chaotic because, we keep mentioning about the henchmen, because the reason I found out firsthand about the portable rift is I was a henchman running up to the gem thinking I'm just going to get it, and then someone threw that rift in front of me, and next thing I know, I'm up in the middle of the sky falling back down. So that is pretty good. I love that.
I didn't expect the henchmen to be able to jump into the rifts for some reason. I just expected it was an ally-only thing, or only Shuri could use it. I didn't know. I've never seen the Porter Rift before, even in custom games, so I didn't know what it did.
No, it delays you, which is what the heroes were trying to do. So, no, the Doctor Doom. The other thing about the henchmen, especially in late game, when you've got a whole bunch of them and they're fighting the heroes, positioning seemed to just be so important, because when we were the henchmen sometimes and we'd get up on a hill, there was like 6 or 7 of us just all lobbing down those Doctor Doom mystic bolts, and it's just raining down on the good guys trying to live and
Those have a
just
really high
decimate
skill
them.
ceiling because they just shoot like a typical arc, and they have nigh unlimited range. So if you really get the hang of the arc, you can just even over enemy cover if you are at a higher vantage point. So, yeah, we've just had 4 or 5 or even 6 or 7 of the henchmen just blasting structures, waiting for another henchman to be brave enough to go into the structure to try to nab the gem. A couple of times Birch and I have gotten to the gem, and I think you have to hold it for like 8 seconds or something before you capture it. And watching that thing just tick, 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 and you get to the last like 0.4 seconds, and then you just die, and you're like, go!
There's one game we were playing as, there were 2 of us as henchmen, and it's sort of like rezzing someone. The more people involved, you can kind of get the counter to go down a little faster. But we were all having to stand right there, and we're like looking at it's going 3, 2, and then just a random Captain America shield flies in, takes all 3 of us out, and that was it.
I wonder if I have any clips. I probably captured some Battle Royale footage, but I haven't been capturing most of the Day of the Doom because it's just so exciting and so fast-paced that you there's honestly not a whole lot of time to be like, oh, okay, hold on, let me do something cool and capture a clip of it. No. You're constantly being like, okay, here, we gotta get to the next gem, or we gotta get to the next gem and stop it. I really, really like the pacing of this mode, and I hope it stays for at least a couple of weeks. I don't know how long it's gonna stay. I'm sure we could
October 4th.
Yeah, I'm sure we could find out. If you take a look here on the screen for the visual audience, there is a great Twitter person called HypeX, @HypeX on Twitter, which is a great Fortnite like data miner, leaker person. They post all sorts of things all throughout the day, and they help keep updated on fluctuating drop rates. For example, over the last couple of weeks and days, the loot island that spawns during the season is no longer the loot island. It has a chance to be the Doom Island in the typical Battle Royale and Zero build modes, which if you capture the Doom Island, you become Doom. I don't know exactly how it works. I haven't had the privilege of doing it. I would really like to get the chance to, but definitely because in regular Battle Royale with just 2 people, like, especially if you can get, okay, let me just restart my sentence. In Battle Royale, the loot island always spawns at the 4th circle once it closes or when it starts to close. I have to figure out the trigger of it exactly, but that's when it spawns. So you just wait for circle 4 and then head to the loot island. And if you just, if it's one of those games where everybody was kind of dropping in an area to get one objective done or get their weeklies done at the very start of the week, you can already be down to like 30 or 25 players by the time Circle 4 closes. And if you're Doom at that point, all you have to do is not get killed and get down to the last couple of people and just use your command melee to delete them. Because you can just tank it. You have 1,000 health. So,
right.
Unless the duos, because that's really what we play, are coordinated, there's not a lot you can do against Doom at that end goal because you have small circles. We're not playing builds, so we can't just build a wall and defend ourselves. If we don't have jetpacks, we're out of luck completely.
Right, just like in one of the matches we played, is the Doom just sort of draws all the attention, and then his assistant in the duos can start picking people off on from the side because everyone's so focused on attacking Doom, and they can just basically flank everybody, which is what happened to us earlier. But
it seems like yesterday it was 30% and today it's 12%. So if you're watching today on 9/17/2024, that is the current drop rate is 12%. It might fluctuate day to day. They said they were increasing it, but they may have just dropped it for today because of the new changes. But it doesn't seem like anything new was particularly added to BR, because Day of the Doom is just a modified Team Rumble game mode.
Yep. Now,
as far as the Battle Royale, what would you say is your current strategy? Because you, when we were playing today at the beginning, were level 99, and you ended at like level 109, I believe. So you gained 10 levels. I started at 40, and I ended at 64, so I gained 24 levels, which is fantastic because I haven't been playing that much, so it was nice to be able to really close the gap with all of these new quests and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it really depends on sort of if you're doing duos or solo, or sometimes I'll jump into ranked just to try to clear some quests or get some of the prizes out of there. But
what has been the most frustrating quest for you to complete?
Most frustrating quests? None of them really seemed too bad. I guess the ones that were the most frustrating were the very weapon specific ones. Like through the storyline or the weekly quests, sometimes they would drop a, deal 500 damage with War Machine's gauntlets. And by the time I had gotten that quest, the prior like 4 games before that, I found them everywhere. But then for 4 games after that, couldn't find them to save my life. So you were just sort of sitting there, getting into the game, maybe doing well, maybe dying instantly, but just because you couldn't keep going on the quest line until you found the gauntlets and then dealt damage with them. So
yeah, that was my most long quest too. I had to deal 500, or you have to delete 500 structures. So each structure has its own health bar, so unless you're just one-shotting structures somehow, it's honestly pretty hard to do. I finally figured out how to pull up my game here on the screen. We are in Chapter 5, Season 4, and this season goes until November 2nd, sorry, at 2 a.m. Eastern Time. On the screen is just rotating rewards throughout the Battle Pass, and initially, I didn't think I wanted anything, except for on, like, the second, or the very first page, actually, is Gwenpool, and that was honestly the only thing in the Battle Pass I wanted, until I remembered that there's bonus rewards, and if you get to the end of the Battle Pass, you get, like, Flaming Gwenpool. So, I'm like, oh, damn it. I don't need the bonus skin, but dang, look how cool that is. That's rad, honestly. She's on fire. It's pretty sweet. It's hard to argue with. And, there's plenty of events, and, like, if we really need XP, we can always go play Reload, because daily XP is 60k no matter what on there, and sometimes there's weekly quests in there. There's so many ways to earn XP that if you really want to complete the Battle Pass, it's on you to do it. The Battle Pass in Fortnite, is probably one of the best Battle Passes in gaming, for the simple reason that it always, if you complete it, always provides you more than it's worth. It's under $10 US, and it will get you enough currency every single season, if you complete the Battle Pass, to buy next season's Battle Pass. So in theory, you only have to buy one Battle Pass ever. You buy one Battle Pass, just bank your V-Bucks, and then wait till next season, just buy it with the next season. And you actually get more V-Bucks than you need, or than you get more V-Bucks per season than you need to buy next season's Battle Pass. I think you earn like 1,200, and the Battle Pass is only 950. So, if you just play enough, you can also just get free skins from that one purchase. It's a matter of how addicted you could get to the game, and some people clearly are, because we get killed by people that are level 200 after the 4th day of the Battle Pass being out. Right. It's like, okay, is there some sort of creator island that just gives you infinite XP that I don't know about, that I need to just sit on and just like bot for a half hour and just get my Battle Pass completed? Like, I don't know, you tell me.
Or they have gosh, this is some deep lore. Way back when I was younger, guys would super level their old Diablo or World of Warcraft characters, and what they would do is they would tag in and out, especially when they would play in like battlegrounds and things, to where is it was never just you. It'd be like if you, me, and Dylan just had a rotating shift of 8 hours and we just kept that same character going, leveling.
I think another big change that I didn't notice until today, which may have just came with today's update based on the patch notes that I'm looking at. Here, I might as well put them on screen so people can see. Is these big Iron Man caches and War Machine caches that drop throughout the Battle Royale mode.
Yes.
On the map, there is like clear like landing zones where these pods will drop from the sky and kind of claws will come up to grab this sort of pod egg thing. And if you get in there, and if you're the first player in there, you'll be suited up with the full loadout of each of their perspective pods. Iron Man is obviously colored Iron Man colored, and War Machine is very gray and plain colored. So if you get in there, you'll get Iron Man's repulsors and his jet feet, and if you get in the other one, you'll get all three of the War Machine things. Big difference between this and Day of Doom is you can drop this gear and swap it between allies. You can kill somebody with that gear and get it immediately after they get out of the pod. So it's a high risk, high reward if you want to go in there. It's kind of like the bunkers. It's kind of like Loot Island. You know, it's got good rewards, but you have to be ready for the consequences of it.
Oh yeah, because I remember when we were rolling up to one of those, there was at least 8 players just all duking it out outside. No one had gotten quite in yet because they were all trying to battle their way in.
Yeah, because you don't want to just go in there and get killed because it doesn't give you the suit instantly. It takes like 2, 4, 8 seconds. I don't know.
It's got to go through its little animation. It's just like when in the prior season, when we would fight Scar or Megadon or something, there were multiple times where I swear a team would go in, kill Scar, for instance, get her gear, and then 2 people would be waiting around the corner to just jump out, kill them, take the token, and then another team would be waiting down by the car to kill them. And so, you know, it's probably about the 5th team down is the one who actually gets the reward out of it.
That's something I'd really like to address. Is last season is the first season I have ever seen, and we've both ever seen, the medallion system, where there's 3 bosses on the map. There's sometimes more, but they're like mini bosses. There's 3 bosses on the map, and if you kill that boss, you get their medallion and whatever gear they're carrying. They always have a mythic gun and something else, like shields or something. You know, they drop at least. It makes it worth at least killing them. The medallions last season were Megalodon. If you killed him, it gave you infinite nitro, which nitro gave you faster, or gave you like a shield, like a shoulder bash, which would blow up cover and structures if you hit it, infinite sprint, and immunity to fall damage, as well as if you're hitting full sprint, you could run on water. It's a pretty cool ability. Really highly mobile. The next ability was the Mechanist, which would give you a recharging shield up to 75. It would have a little bit of a delay, but you know, you would always have at least 75 shield if you weren't in combat. And then the last one was Scars, which was arguably the best, but it depends on if you like mobility more than firepower. Scar would just give you unlimited ammo for every weapon equipped in your inventory. Really good medallions. All 3 of them worth having. If you have all 3, you're like a snowball of doom. In this season of Doom, the 3 new bosses are Emma Frost, who is on the raft, who is guarding the prison that the raft is. She will give you the powers of Artemis, which is a hireable character through multiple seasons who will occasionally ping and do like a grid pattern throughout the world and ping any chests, lootables, and enemies nearby. As Emma Frost's medallion, you will occasionally ping yourself or from yourself instead of having to have Artemis to do that ability. Pretty good medallion. Honestly, the best one. The next one is Mysterio's. He's at Doomstad, which is the replacement for Classy Courts. Not
No,
Classy
it's
Courts.
that big mansion.
Right. Can't remember. It's whatever that place was. It was a big mansion, and the whole place has been replaced with a mini town. And Mysterio is there. Mysterio will teleport around and jump and make illusions and whatever. He'll just be chilling for a while until you fight him, and then he will duplicate himself, make himself teleport around. If you can just kill him really quickly, he's probably the easiest boss to kill. And his medallion is the worst. It just gives you stealth. If you crouch, it'll give you like 45 seconds of invisibility, and it's not true or perfect invisibility. It's like active camo. So if you're moving too quickly, or if the enemies have really good eyesight, or if you do anything except for crouch walk, you will become uninvisible. So the only thing it's really good for is sneaking away from a fight through buildings. That's really the only use I've seen it have. The big downside is all medallions give you a field of operation indicator on the minimap, which will tell anybody nearby and anybody that checks the big map, hey, there's a medallion wielder in this general AO. So, you can go kill them or avoid that circle. So, even if you're invisible, the enemies will know, okay, he's hiding in somewhere. He's like right around here. We know he's here. It doesn't matter if he's invisible.
The thing about the Mysterio that kind of lends to its lack of power, or I guess let's say immediate power, is there's no real sniper rifle or anything this season so far.
Absolutely.
So,
if there was a sniper, it would be really good because you get into position. You could wait for somebody to make a mistake, like go to a reboot van. You just go dink and kill them in one hit. Yeah, if there was a sniper, it'd be really, really good. The highest damage weapon, I think, right now is the Monarch.
Yeah, and that's a pistol. You got to get close with
Yeah,
that.
unless you shotgun somebody in the head, but, you know.
Right. Then the last medallion is the Doctor Doom medallion, which can be really good. It doesn't help you if you're not already a good player. Like, it's almost like win more, is because after you eliminate a player, it refills your health and shields. So if you're exceptional,
it's a kill reward. Yeah.
yeah, and you're mowing people down left and right, great. It can really help out there. But that's why I say it's kind of a win more, is because if you're already doing that, you're already winning, I guess.
Yeah,
doesn't,
the ability is called Siphon. When you kill an enemy, like Birch said, it'll just heal you. So, like, if you're in a really clutch situation, yeah, it's great because you'll immediately have some health after killing, and it could really help you get double kills. Maybe it's good in squads because you get Doom's gauntlets, so you can, wipe an enemy squad out by hitting everybody with 90s if they're low. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's really good for that, but I honestly don't see a huge use case for the Siphon medallion either, because neither of us are that good, and unless we're killing squads of bots, we rarely get, like, multi-kills.
Right. I mean, I guess in a situation of when you're it's the circle is about this big, and there's 3-4 of you left. If you've got that, if you kill one of them, you're back to max, so it's a better opportunity against maybe the last one or two. But I mean, maybe that's what it's there for. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's just outside of that, it's not doing a ton. It doesn't actively assist you in the game. I'll put it that way. All three abilities are passive. Are more passive this season than the prior. It's just Emma's at least gives you an extra field of vision, because when you ping your enemies, you know where they're at, so you can ambush them or get away or do what you need to.
Oh no, you pinged, but and the enemies already know your general vicinity because of the medallion indicator anyway.
Yeah.
I think Emma is the best because she gives you vision. I think Mysterio is still worth killing because if you get close to him and you have the new SMG, or maybe it's a returning one, is the dual micro SMGs. If you walk up to Mysterio, you can instantly break his shields if it's purple or higher. And if you have a teammate right there with a shotgun, he'll typically, once his shield breaks, he'll teleport, but he'll teleport right back to the first place before he does his duplicating and all of his, like, second phase parts. So if your team is just right there ready, you can just kill Mysterio in, like, 2 seconds. Killing him is always worth it, even if you don't want his medallion. You can just leave it there on the floor. He has the Mythic Sovereign. So,
yes, his weapon
if you want that shotgun, yeah.
I think on the flip side in this season, all 3 of the bosses all have very good weapons. Emma's got a great rifle.
It's a Striker Burst Mythic, which has like the perfect attachments for it.
Yep. Mysterio's got the shotgun, and then Doom actually has 2. Doom's Gauntlet, the powers, and his Monarch pistol, which is another legendary or mythic, whatever the highest level is. Monarch.
Well, technically, mythic and legendary are the same. The difference is legendaries are non-unique and moddable, and mythics are always named and have a preset loadout that you can't mod.
Gotcha. And
the difference is legendaries are orange and mythics are gold, like icon colors. So you can tell the difference just because like legendaries are orange.
Yep. And what I'll say is in the prior season, I would very rarely ever see the medallions just left out off the map for the Storm to take. In the games I've been playing in solo, there are plenty of games where people just screw the medallion. Like, it'll be a couple of circles in, the Doom medallion will still be out there, and the Mysterio medallion will still be out there, but the Emma typically always gets taken.
Last season, the bosses you could kill in like under 2 seconds. Mysterio could still do the same thing. Last season, you could just kill them like instantly. You could just headshot them, with the exception of Scar and Megalodon. They have like a 2-second animation when you break their shield, where they're like immune. But if you just wait for that to be over, then you can just completely kill them again. Mysterio does the same thing. You just break his shield, wait 1 second, kill him, and then Doom and Emma, though, are both real fights, because Emma goes diamond mode. If you know Emma Frost, she's got the telekinetic mutant power to turn herself into pure diamond and be immune to all damage, and she can just walk around with her machine gun and kill you while she's immune to damage, and she can just turn it on and off in the fight and really slow down your ability to kill her. So unless you just burst her and kill her instantly, which is hard to do because she has that ability, that fight can take a while, and she can actually beat you because there's plenty of henchmen and people really like her ability, so they're always fighting for it. Doom, he can fly around and kill you and your team with his gauntlet, so it's really hard to fight either of them by yourself.
Yeah, Mysterio, I was actually surprised how easy it was to kill him.
Yeah, me too.
It was not too bad. Going back to what you're kind of mentioned earlier, a thing I've kind of noticed about this season too is the new chests that are in it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing we should have mentioned. Yeah, good point.
There's several styles of them. They're oversized chests, more almost like giant crates, basically, and they're either Doom themed or Avengers themed. And I guess there's Iron Man theme. I think there's a Black Widow chest. They're just different symbols on them. They don't really mean anything.
No, they don't have any different loot pools or anything from what I've noticed either.
Yeah. But there, some places have very static ones, so there's always going to be a chest, and other ones, there's different named areas. There's kind of like 2 or 3 spots it could be at, but most of the time, inside those chests, you're going to get better loot and the superhero style loot. So that's inside those chests are typically where you find you have more of a chance to find like Captain America's shield, the jetpacks, the War Machine gear, etc. So those are, knowing where those locations are is pretty important, because
especially if you want to get like powered up immediately after drop. Right. Doomstat is a good point in my opinion for this. It's a good. I bring up Doomstat because Doomstat is a town but all of the windows are boarded up with like grates and stuff, so it's really hard to fly in with your glider and fly into buildings, except for the one building in the middle of town right next to Mysterio that has Doom's chest in it. So if you're good at gliding, you can fly into the one opening and fly right down and grab his chest immediately, or fly on the roof, jump in, take a little bit of fall damage, and immediately have one chest. They're fixed points, as Birch mentioned, so if you route through there, right towards the other part of where Mysterio patrols, where there's like a little jail cell, there's another Avengers chest. So you immediately have two, like, high-tier chests at Doomstad, and you have the option to kill Mysterio. So this season, currently, I think it's a really good place to drop, even if you have no intention of getting Mysterio's gear.
Right. There's some other spots that have been pretty good. The raft has a static. It's right off the dock of the raft. You kind of come in on the side facing the underworld area across the
north
waterway.
Side.
Yeah, the north side. And you come down there, immediately there's a door on the right. There's a static chest down there, and you can fly right down, get loaded up, get shielded up, and walk out of there with ready to kill people. So, or can I say that on YouTube? Yeah, well,
it's a video game, yeah. We're killing people in Fortnite. We're not.
Yeah, in Fortnite.
We have no violent intentions.
So
I really like the changes to the map because they're subtle, like especially right here near Doomstad. All these red trees are brand new, which I think is a nice touch. It seems like the season has literally like progressed. But you're saying drop here on the north side of
Yep, right around where you have your cursor. There, there's a door right there, and then just right inside the door, there's a static good chest there. And there's typically another one in one of these like guard towers. It kind of flops around in there sometimes.
Yeah, I think there's one in this one because that's the furthest one away.
Yep.
So this whole place, I would, like I said, in one of these future episodes, we're going to really touch on the story of Fortnite because it's quite interesting, and both of us like to hyperfixate on stuff we're into. So I would be curious what the raft is and where it came from, because as you can tell here, it looks like it fell from the sky, and it crushed a town that was called Pleasant Parkways. It was or Peasant Parkways. And it was a nice little town. This road went right here. It would go up through town and connect here to this little gas station that was here on the cliff side, but all of this is totally destroyed now.
Yep.
Something I also am curious of is right here in the water, only in game, not on the map, there seems to be like a dead Titan or it looks like...
I think it's Galactus.
It looks like Galactus, but he died a couple of seasons ago, so I'm wondering why he's just suddenly back. The Weapon X Lab is still available up here. You can't see it because of the smoke. You can still get into it, but there's nothing in it, so there's no point. Castle Doom is nice. This area up here really got rare use last season, from what I could tell. So it's nice that they updated this and put something worth coming here for.
Yep. Yeah.
Is there anywhere else you want to point out on the map?
I was just going to mention what's really funny is last season, the south end of the map, the desert, we were there, I swear, 80% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the car combat, that's where the bosses were. The bosses had different mechanics last season. They either spawned at their house or they were on the road because they were paraded around with what was called the War Bus. And it was just a bus that played loud music and had a turret on it, a bunch of henchmen, and there was a car driving around, so you could get the boss's cars. That's something we didn't mention because it's not important this season, but the bosses also had cars you could get.
Yeah, and this season, you hardly go down there unless you have a quest that specifically says, like, gain shields at Redline Rig, for instance.
Nitrodome is a good example. Last season, we spent a lot of games here, even when we didn't want to. This season, I've spent like barely any time at the Nitrodome.
Yeah.
There's barely any point to be there. Brutal Beach had still a nice drop zone, but there's no like scripted good loot. There's no reason to be in that south end of the map anymore.
Something I do like is the dynamic changes between seasons. After the last season's event, you can see where this fuel line exploded and revealed Pandora's chest before Doom opened it, changing the island up here in the north end, creating his sort of kingdom. So it's really
Oh,
cool to watch the seasons change, honestly.
the other little spot I'd point out is right there for Doom's courtyard. That's what used to be the classy courts, and
Ah, yes. Which
right in the
was where
middle.
the mini boss Oscar spawned before.
Yeah, and there, right where you put that marker is where there's a guaranteed Doom chest there. So it's not a bad landing spot because there's plenty of gold chests in there, and there's uh, one of the newer crates, so you can get good gear for landing there. And then once you land there, you can easily hop on over to Doomstot or to Doom's Castle. So it's not a bad middle ground.
I think covering the map and the changes, and also what our personal input on it, is a good idea for a recurring segment on the show because the map changes dynamically. Towards the end of last season. Is there an echo?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, that must just be me. Anyway, towards the end of last season, there was a play. Oh, I could actually just pull it right back up. Right here on the map changed several times. This place, it doesn't have a name on the map, but it's right next to the named place Restored Reels. It's like a big lagoon that has really shallow water. It's nice and blue. I hate this area in the map because it's just there's no snipers currently, but it's just like Sniper Haven. There's no cover. Yeah. There's like this dock here. There's this main island here. There's a couple of trees and stuff on the perimeter. But if you're caught out here, there's nothing going on. Last season, right at the beginning, there was a building here right by a reboot van, and it just kind of fell into the lagoon and disappeared one update just silently. And then it was just gone, changing this face right here and how you had to drive up it. And then at the end of the season, Jack Sparrow came to the island and had the Black Pearl parked here in the lagoon, which had wrecked pirate ships all throughout here. So even through mini season events and not just big season changes, the map will update and change just slightly. And I feel like the reason it was changed right here was because of how many people were dying here, just being trapped. I think this is just speculation, of course. I think they were checking the heat maps on the developer side and being like, nobody plays in anywhere in the lagoon, and everyone's dying right here because of this reboot van, and the fact there's a multi-tier building that has no purpose other than to shoot people at the reboot van. So they just removed the whole building there, and now the reboot van is just on the cliff. And currently it's next to one of the Dr. Doom dig sites, which I don't know what they're digging for. Do you?
Maybe not yet. No, I'm sure they're digging for. Maybe that's what kind of the Day of Doom is. All those henchmen were digging for those gems that were supposed to be found or something.
Why do they fall from the sky? I wonder though.
That I can't tell you.
I
got no idea.
Yeah, so I'll definitely do some research and send you some videos and stuff like that for the next episode of our show. We are at about an hour and 10 minutes. Is there anything you want to cover before we wrap up?
No, just at first it took me a little use to get in tune with all the new season, just because I just got so used to last season. It's just last season was very much you need to land at 3 or 4 spots, establish dominance, trying to get one of the boss's medallions in their vehicle, and then you could just cover the map. But here, there's really a lot of different places you can land. The only other thing I'd really talk about is trying to play on ranked for a little while. It was frustrating because the Gatekeeper shotgun, I swear, was everywhere. It's a really low level shotgun. I mean, there's a common version, it's just, but those things, it's not a bad idea when you first land to try to grab one of those, because 2 hits with that can just take someone out, especially if they don't have any of their shields or anything yet. And I guess, since I'm rambling, with that point, what I've noticed with this season versus last season, shields are everywhere. Last
Just like
season,
the
sometimes,
increase of, or like the frequency increasing.
well, it's just last season, it's not that getting shields was necessarily difficult. It's just there were times where it felt like you're a little parched. But here in those blue ammo boxes, you always get at least multiple mini shields,
Causing your shield to
ammo,
go.
and other things. So it's just sort of like the larger the big shield potions are probably the same amount, but I think there's just more the small shield potions everywhere.
Good example is right here in this clip. I have 2 of the shield jugs, and good point to bring it up in transition. What are these? Flowberry Fizz champagne bottles are great because they'll fill you and your teammates' shields up, and you can use them in cars. They also give you low gravity, increased jump speed, and everything like that. Currently, though, as of September 17th, there is a bug on the canisters, and if you use them, you can get caught in like an animation loop. You can see it here on screen. I'm constantly using it, but I'm not actually depleting any of the juice or gaining any of this 5 remaining shield. So it just kind of just bugs and gets you trapped in this animation unless you just switch weapons, which, you know, it's not like you're actually trapped or anything, but it is interesting to point out that it is currently a bug, that is something that's happening.
Right, I had that happen to me too, and I saw it happen to you at least twice. So it's out there.
Might be something you want to be careful of, because if you let go of the trigger, you might still be doing the animation thinking you're getting the shield, but you might not actually be just yet. So something you might want to just be aware of if you're experiencing that. They may patch it out tomorrow, who knows.
Again, like I'll say, what I'm so surprised at with Epic is if there's any noticeable problem, they seem to have a mini patch or patch just they could happen at any time to try to fix things. Hot fixes they are on top of, which is reassuring.
All right, before we close out, I got one clip of us winning a battle royale. I hope if you're listening, you can go in and get one and maybe use some of the strategies we've talked about, or at least go try out the Day of Doom event while it's still available. Let me know if this is too loud when I hit play, okay?
Okay.
Sound good? Okay, cool.
Yep.
They updated the map to have a train on it, which is quite nice. I like that last season there was train tracks, but no train, and now there's a train because it's just cleared up a little bit.
Here it
Cars
comes.
are still in use. You gotta be careful, though.
There's you using the Captain. That's Emma's ability right there.
And you finish him off.
Good work. We kept the pressure up so hard.
Perfect.
All right. We don't really have any like sort of ending on this. I'm going to just start kind of wrapping up here. I want to thank everyone for joining us for the first episode of Every Fortnight. It's just kind of a lax show. We might bring back different segments or try different things or try different bits. Who knows? It's mostly just for me to hang out with Birch and talk to him about the game we like to play, because while we're playing it, we're just focused on the game, and we're not really digesting and decompressing about the stuff we're actually talking about. So, it's nice to have more of an analytical point and address and reassess strategies and stuff like that. So, I want to thank anyone for putting up with this, and if it's something you are interested in, if you have any pointers for us, go ahead and leave a comment. And check out my show, What Is This Game? It's on this very channel where you're watching, and doesn't really have a schedule. The next episode coming up is with Birch here on the screen. He's going to be joining me for Mass Effect 1. Came out in 2007, although I'm playing the Legendary edition of it. So it has a little bit of a changes, which I will address on the show. Not too much, nothing massive, but some things are different. That is coming out on September 25th, and it'll be live that day and posted immediately on the show afterwards. Dylan from Somewhere, my normal co-host, will unfortunately not be there. going forward for the next couple of months, he'll only be able to play Switch titles. So, as Mass Effect has not been ported to the Switch yet, he won't be able to join us. I would like to thank you, Birch, for coming in and stepping in as co-host for that game. I know that it's a big game for you, and I certainly have always loved it looking outward in, and now that I've actually played the first title, I have a lot of good things to say about it and some not so good things to say about it. So I look forward to talking to you about that. Do you have anything you want to plug or anything like that before we get out of here?
Nah, nothing. Just everyone like and support and watch your favorite shows.
Speaking of which, thank you so much, everyone. This channel now has 100 subscribers, so I appreciate all the support. And until then, see you next time.